I think we can almost all agree that greater efficiency without sacrificing quality in litigation work would be a public good.
This is Unlawful. We got to the point where you were 17, 18, 19, right? 2017, 18, 19, and you knew this tech was coming and you still wanted to practice law, but you also want to start this company. I know there's not a whole lot that you can talk about with respect to what your company does, but I'd like to at least give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about how your path with the technology has changed and where you are today with Silo and with the company that you and Theo founded back in 17, 18, 19.
Yeah, in terms of the company build out, we have grown a lot since 2019, and we have, I think, bigger than people would expect team that is working with us at the company, who are working daily on the company and building the product and supporting customers and bringing it to market. And that is very different than when we were the four co-founders. Our co-founders are both out of Carnegie Mellon. They've been with us since 2019, and we've sort of grown very gradually until probably about 3 months ago. And I think since 3 months ago, we started to grow significantly more quickly, and it has started to feel very different. And I am glad that we timed the law practice ramp down the way we did, because there's no way I would have time to do more than the 1/2 cases that I'm still on.
I understand that there's a lot that you have to keep close to the vest for a myriad reasons, but ultimately your goal with your company at Silo is to create an application or series of applications that applies generative AI and large language models in an effective and useful way to the practice of litigation, which is something you've loved your whole career, right?
Absolutely, that's it. And I think there's basically 3 parts to it. One is, I think you know this, I'm not telling you anything you don't
Sure.
know. There's a pretty big disalignment across the legal system between the merit of a lawsuit and the outcome of a lawsuit. And depending on which side of the V you often operate on, you may have a different belief about the disalignment, but I think in general across the legal system, there's too much disalignment between merit and outcomes. And a lot of that is a result of the sheer amount of resources, human resources, that it takes to do a litigation well. I think that is the motivation for building our company is very much targeted at that. And another motivation,
even if it wasn't, that would be a good place to start, because it's almost like you have a moral grounding.
Well, I think we do. I think it's important, and I think we really do. I think that's central to who I am.
No, I agree with you. You know, we come face to face with both justice and disturbances in justice more than probably either of us would like to admit. I was joking about the morality, but I think it's important. And like I said, you do a lot of these sales calls. That's definitely a good start, a good jumping off point. For someone like me, there are some business people who just, whatever. If it's a billable hour, it's a billable hour, but go ahead.
I think we can almost all agree that greater efficiency without sacrificing quality in litigation work would be a public good. How about that?
Sure.
I think almost everybody can agree on that one.
Well, and certainly our clients can, for sure.
Certainly the clients can. And then there's another piece of it, like the motivation, which is my experience is litigation is extremely hard work to do it well. And that's true of like the associates, partners for different reasons than the associates, the paralegals. This is like really hard work, late nights, long weekends. And that's just kind of the norm in doing litigation. And I don't think that's going to go away. By the way, I think the joke that Theo often makes is that litigators and case teams will find a way to continue working as much as they do, even if Gen AI makes them a little faster, which I kind of think is true.
Well,
maybe you're doing better than I am.
Well, no, but I mean, it's the old adage, right? Like the perfect is the enemy of the good, right? But if you have another tool to make it more perfect, then for sure. And like we were talking about depositions earlier, or even trial, you don't go when you're ready, you go when you have to. So anything that can make the work more efficient, I agree with you. It's not going to make less work. It's just going to make the work that we do more efficient. If you gave me 5 hours, I'd do it in 5 hours. If you gave me 2 hours, I'd do it in 2 hours. And I'm going to do my best to have the quality not suffer no matter how long I prepare. But if I only have 2 hours and I also have a tool that can make that 2 hours better, and I will say this, clients demand that you be prepared regardless. And typically, at least in my experience, it's never been a nickel and diming industry, right? We charge a lot of money. We take a lot of time to do things. And as long as you get the results and as long as you're well prepared, typically everybody's okay with it. The direct client, their overseers or their bosses or whomever.
And the way that I often ask it is sort of like, how many times have you been truly fully prepared to do the deposition or to go to trial? You know, in how many of your cases do you get to do the full preparation that you would do if you had unlimited time to do it?
That's the same as the point that I was just making, is that you don't.
Yeah, I agree.
You don't.
Exactly. Like, I think the answer is almost never.
Right.
I mean, at least that's my experience working on a lot of litigation teams and talking to a lot of litigators. I'm sure you've seen hundreds of times. It's always, there's these moments in the litigation, it's like crunch time. And I've never really been in a situation where I'm like, I had all the time I wanted to work on that particular preparation.
Like I said, you don't go to trial when you're prepared, you go when it's time. Considering that we're all still going to have that time pressure, we're all still going to have to be ready, not when we're ready, but when it's time. Every tool we can have in our toolbox to make the time that we're working more efficient and cleaner, right? And more results oriented, which is ultimately what I think AI really does, is it focuses on results. You know, it's never going to know what the client's thinking or what the political issues are between the plaintiffs and defendants, or, you know, the business relationships. There's lots of stuff that's never going to get factored in. But to the extent that it's results oriented, when you're in the last day, week, month before a big trial, that's what you want at some point, is to say, okay, what's the answer to this? I'll worry about the strategic framing and optics and all of that, but what's the answer, right?
Yep, absolutely. And I think I'm a lot closer to it than most people are. And I would say there's absolutely no question that Gen AI is extremely useful for litigation today. And it's just a matter of getting people comfortable with it, comfortable with how to use it responsibly. I have zero doubt in my mind at this point that Gen AI is a very big deal and very useful in litigation. And over the next, say, 2 to 3 years, I think the understanding of all of that will kind of percolate and people will get more comfortable with it. And it will be a different and I think better way of doing litigation than the way we've done it, a less painful way even of doing litigation without sacrificing any of the quality.
That's kind of a perfect thesis for what you're trying to do. And not only do you think it's possible, but you're trying to contribute to it. So look, from all of us litigators to future litigators, we appreciate the effort that you're putting in. I've said it a bunch of times that there's only so much you can talk about. I really do look forward to the moment that you can come back and say, you know what? Screw all that. My unlawful moment is when I had this product and people were adopting it and I could see it making people's lives better and the litigation process better. And I don't think we're that far off. I tend to agree with you. For your product, and knowing what I know about it, I think you're very close to making a difference. And that's, you know, more than most people ever get to do. So I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. And I look forward to your future and our future and everybody getting to see what you do in the next 2 or 3 years, much less decade of research and work. So thank you very much, Jeff.
Thanks a lot, Brandon. This was a lot of fun. Thanks for bringing me on.
No, absolutely. That's unlawful.